Hey everybody, welcome to Write With Us. I'm Micah Crowdy, the head of writing at Arc Studio and Butterdocs. Arc Studio, of course, is the best app for writing your scripts, and Butterdocs is the best app for writing everything else. Like maybe you are writing a novel. Before we jump into it, get in the chat and let me know, where are you? What are you writing today? And then our third question, our discussion question, our writerly question to get the sort of the writer juices flowing is, how can you create conflict when your characters are nice? It's gonna be our discussion question. We'll get into that in a moment. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit subscribe, turn notifications on, give the video a like if you like it. And if this is your first time, I am so happy you're here. Welcome to Write With Us. So what is this thing? What is Write With Us? Well, we do writing sprints. So we're going to do 3 writing sprints. We're going to do a 15-minute writing sprint. Then we're going to take a break. Then we're going to do a 25-minute writing sprint. And then we're going to do another break. And then at the end, we'll do another writing sprint. And that'll depend on kind of how much time. It's usually 20 to 30 minutes. It's like a 30-minute writing sprint. But if we're running behind, we may not do a full 30 minutes. And in between those sprints and the breaks, I like to answer your screenwriting questions. So feel free to get in the chat and ask a question, and we'll chat about it. Yeah, so it should be a pretty fun time. And then, of course, in the second break, as we always do, I will show the sandwich of the week. And that's just the best looking sandwich that I made this week. And it's a little tradition we have here at Write With Us. So let's see here. For these 3 questions, I'm going to answer them myself. I'm in Los Angeles, California, which of course has been going through it with the fires. It's been really sad. I mean, a lot of people have lost homes. Things aren't even fully out yet. There've been lives lost. It's really a tragedy. I just want to say thank you, people who have reached out to me and asked how I'm doing. We're doing fine. It seems like things are under control here, but yeah, it's I don't know. The reverberations are going to be felt for a while. Like everyone I know knows, someone who lost a home. So it's been pretty crazy. But yeah, but I and my family were doing okay. And what am I working on today? I'm going to be working on, this feels like a weird transition to go from like that to like, what am I working on today? But like part of Write With Us, part of the point of it is to provide a time where you can sort of like push things aside and like focus on your writing. So that's kind of like the spirit of it coming in here, is that, people have stuff going on in their lives, this, or just like everyday things, and Write With Us is just kind of a time for you to like just focus in on your writing. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a good thing to have that kind of respite. So I'm working on a feature right now and I'm feeling some momentum. It's this script I've been writing with for a while and kind of been struggling with things and doing some rewrites on it. But I feel like recently I've kind of cracked some things open and I'm feeling good about it. So that's what I'm working on today. And this question of the week, how can you create conflict when your characters are nice? This is actually inspired by Allison, who I think is here today in the chat. And we're doing this new thing on the forum. I'm using like the community forum more. And we're doing this thing called 5-Page Mondays, where on Monday you can post 5 pages from your script and get feedback from other people in the community who will read those 5 pages and tell you what they think. And you can ask kind of specific things you're looking for. And I was suggesting to Allison that she have some more conflict in it and talk about different things. And I was giving some suggestions, and she was kind of saying, oh, this character isn't like they don't start things, right? They're not like an aggressive character. They I think she said something about like smooth feathers instead of ruffling them. And I'm like, oh, that's a good question. Like, how do you create conflict when your characters aren't there to create conflict? Like when your characters are nice, or maybe they're slacker characters, but just kind of when they're not there to create conflict. And I think that's a really important thing, because like oftentimes you have all different types of characters, in your writing. So what I would say about that is that you'll hear the word conflict a lot. And I think the connotation in writing is a little different than in the rest of your lives. Like in the rest of our life, conflict is bad. Conflict is aggressive. It can be angry. It can be violent. It can be fighting, like it has all these kind of connotations. Whereas in writing, there are a lot of different things that can be conflict. All those things I just described can be conflict, a fight, anger, all, they can have those things as well. But when I talk about conflict, what I just mean really is that your characters want something, but there's obstacles in the way of what they want. And that's conflict right there. And so that could be like so many things. Like you could have a character who's a peacemaker who wants to create peace, but there's obstacles in the way, and that's a conflict. Or you can have a slacker who just wants nothing to change, but then some sort of outside force is forcing them to change and they're resistant against that. That's conflict. So conflict can look like a lot of things. It doesn't always have to be loud or violent or any of that. It's just kind of like, it's the grist of storytelling. It's like the fuel of storytelling, really, is conflict. People wanting things and having obstacles in the way to get them. And I wanted to share, I have this like on a little post-it note to my left off screen here. David Mamet has three questions about scenes. So basically, for every scene that you're writing, you ask yourself, who wants what happens if they don't get it, and why now? So that's who wants what character and what do they want? Like, what does each character want? What happens if they don't get it? That's called stakes, like the consequences of failure. And why now? Why is it happening now? And those three questions can be really helpful for this, I think. Excuse me. I keep making the mistake of drinking like sparkling water before I hosting this, and then I need to burp. But like I eat lunch right before and I just do it automatically. And then I'm just like, oh my gosh, I need to not do this next time. Anyways, getting into the chat. Lovely to see you folks here. Cash, Kimberly, also in LA. Teji, San Jose. Lots of familiar faces, or not really faces. I can't see any faces, but names here. Let's see here. Teji was saying, hey, from San Jose, no, you're starting the novel writing sessions on Monday, but I hope it's okay that I'm here too. Of course you are. And Teji is referring, sorry, I'm blanking there, on a new show that, because obviously, we have two apps, right? We say this is Arc Studio and ButterDocs. Arc Studio is screenwriting, ButterDocs is for novel writing. And Write With Us kind of started as being for both, but more and more it's become about screenwriting. So I wanted to have a space specifically for novel writing, for fiction writing. And there's a link to that if you want to RSVP to that in the description on YouTube. That is to say, though, you are welcome to come to both, either, whatever you're writing. It's just like, that's kind of what we'll be talking about more. Like, so on Write With Us, which I think it's going to eventually, Write With Us is going to become Let's Write Scripts. We'll be talking more about screenwriting, but you're welcome to write your novel here. We got a lot of people who have been writing novels here. And the same in Let's Write Books. We'll be talking more about books, but you are welcome to write your screenplay there or whatever you want. It's just kind of what the focus will be. So anyways, but I'm excited. Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific will be the first one. And we have a special guest, Charles Yu. I'll talk more about this later, though, a little bit. Claire in Chicago is writing a script for a contest. You can have your main character be stepped over. Yeah. Ooh, that's a great conflict. Yeah. I mean, that's another thing for like passive characters, especially like, there are kind of characters who are imposing themselves on the world and characters that the world is imposing itself on them. And how does your character react to that, right? Like, I think that's really cool. That's a good point, Claire. Cash was saying, I think if characters are nice, an internal conflict could work, or maybe another character doesn't trust the niceness, feeling to be genuine. Yeah, that's also true. Yeah, I mean, conflict is also internal. I love that. Where it's like, how does this make them feel? Kind of like what Claire was saying, if someone's, getting stepped over, if someone's being pushed around, how does that make them feel? How do they react to that? Does it lead to an explosion? Does it lead to a change in personality? But yeah, that's great. Craig in St. Louis. Welcome back, Craig. Welcome back. Missed last week. And he completed his novel Vomit Draft before the holidays. So he'll be reading and revising. Fantastic. And Craig, of course, for Let's Write Books, for novel writing, you are welcome there too. Juno, welcome from Massachusetts, practicing screenwriting, adapting novel to TV series. And Allison, hey, thank you so much, Allison, for asking that question and prompting our discussion today in foggy England, revising some scenes and getting some conflicts in the mix. Thank you for saying okay. And great, let's see here. Craig was saying, as for conflict, they'd be nice, but want different things. Their motivations differ. Therefore, the outcomes they seek in a given situation may differ. I think that's awesome. That's a great thing. And that kind of gets into the antagonist, right? Oftentimes you have your protagonist, your main character, and the antagonist, and they're kind of butting heads, right? But oftentimes people describe the antagonist as the villain, a bad guy. But that doesn't mean they have to be a bad guy. Like it can be two good people who both want just things that are in conflict. For instance, I like to use the example of if a teenager wants to go to a party and your teenager is the protagonist and their parent doesn't want them to go to the party, that's the antagonist. That doesn't make the parents bad. It just means they have different things. Maybe, the teenager wants to have fun. The teenager wants to be with their friends, etc. See someone they like, and the parent wants them to be safe, etc. These aren't like bad things. They're just in conflict. And that's where so much of like nuanced storytelling can come from and people always say also like your best antagonists think they're the good guy. Beatrice, welcome. First time here, trying to get in your button gear on your next screenplay, procrastinating like crazy. Well, hopefully we can help. Hopefully these writing sprints today can get you moving in the right direction. But so glad you're here, Beatrice. And Amy, welcome back from Portland. Finishing touches on your first screenplay. Almost feel ready for a couple of industry writers to read it. Oh, that's fantastic, Amy. And Thea, welcome back. In Delaware, working on audio description script for my already produced short doc. Oh, fun. Glad to hear that that's going well here. Spilt Ink, welcome from New York. Charles in Denver, continue to work on a screenplay. I find nice people to have their own demons or fears that results in conflict when they deny them and hide them from others. That's really interesting. I like that, Charles. Paula, working on your first feature, aiming to finish a draft by the end of March, about halfway through. Fantastic. Hopefully you get some good work done today. Juno, nice characters have conflict when they disagree strongly about how to solve a problem. That can reveal how strongly they feel and where the line of nice list blurs. What are they willing to do? Ooh, that's great. Guys, really great just like responses to the prompt today. I love it. I love that. All right, we got Denise in Nashville doing some free writing. Donis Media from Northern Canada. Wow. That's awesome. That's so like a different world from just LA where it's like 60 something degrees Fahrenheit right now. Yeah, Butterdocs, we launched it last year. There's been some emails that have gone out, so it kind of depends on when you joined, but butterdocs.com/fiction, if you want to check it out, it's pretty cool. Paula from Nova, welcome back. Conflict can come from genuine misunderstanding. Yeah, I love that. I mean, there's so many things here, right? That like conflict doesn't mean people are bad. It's like there's so many things that can be the sources of conflict. Fantastic there. Tiffany from London for the peril of bubble belches. I'm going to try not to burp anymore today, guys. But like, even just thinking about it, I can like feel a burp growing, like a psychosomatic burp in my throat right now. Glad you're here, Tiffany. All right. Let's see here. And hey, Elia showing up also a little bit late. All right. Well, I love it. I think we're in a good headspace to do some writing here. Like I feel like the wheels are already turning and people are having sympathy burps. It's just like fantastic. Everyone's on the right page. Hey, yeah, no, I mentioned earlier. Yeah, Craig, we're doing all right. The fire is actually kind of getting under control a little bit. It's a tragedy. It's not going away, but we are doing well. We weren't in an evacuation zone. We weren't that far from one, but we weren't in one. It was mostly air quality and wind that we were dealing with. Great. I'm very confused this works. I got tickets, but I thought it was a Zoom link group. Was I wrong? No, it's a YouTube live stream. That's more of like for an RSVPing. But yeah, it's the Eventbrite calls them tickets, but it's just so you like can RSVP for it and add it to your calendar. But yeah, no, this is a live stream on YouTube. You don't have to RSVP if you don't want to. It's helpful. I like it because I get to kind of see like how many people are coming. But yeah, it's on Wednesday, every Wednesday at 1 p.m. So you can show up on the just on like the YouTube channel. Great. Yeah, I mean, we got an air purifier. It took a while, but like, yeah, I think it's like very backed up the air because of the air quality. But the air quality has improved a lot. So that's great. Cool. All right. Well, I love the active chat, but we got to get some writing done. So let's get into it. We're going to start with the 15-minute writing sprint. So I'm going to slow my voice down because the 15-minute writing sprint is the one with the chill music. And this is a good one to just get your head in the game, maybe read back where you were last time, kind of figure out what you're working on today, where you were in your story, where you were with your characters. And yeah, feel free if you have any screenwriting questions again to get those in the chat and we'll talk about them during the break. Something you're dealing with or something you've been wondering about, there, you can put it in the chat. And yeah, so 15 minutes on the clock and we are going to get into it right now. Catch you guys on the other side. I didn't notice we had ended there. That was a good sprint. Anyways, that was the end of our first writing sprint, the 15-minute sprint. How'd that go for y'all? How's the writing today? Are the muses with us? Are the words flowing? Is the story unlocking itself? Are the characters revealing themselves? Are you finding the conflict as we were just talking about? Let me know. Get in the chat. Welcome to everyone who joined. Ashford up in Canada, who just had a Zoom with some producers from an event you met. Awesome. Good networking there, Ashford. Reading over your show Bible. And Susan, writing a YA fantasy about cheerleader and band of angels saving the world from ending. Awesome. So glad you're here. If you're new and you just joined, this is Write With Us. We do 3 timed writing sprints. That was the first one. We're going to do 2 more. And during the breaks, we chat a little bit. I answer any screenwriting questions if you have any. So feel free to drop those in the chat if you do. I want to mention a couple announcements, which I kind of mentioned a little bit also earlier. But one is on the community forum. We are kind of doing more stuff. I'm kind of figuring out weekly posts. And so one of them we did was here 5-page Mondays, which I mentioned, which was pretty cool. Several people posted their pages and got feedback. I read some of the scripts and gave pages. Cash was on there. Allison was on there. I know who are here today. We're going to be doing this kind of every Monday where you can post 5 pages from your script and get some feedback. And then we're going to do other things I'm going to do script reading Tuesday, because one of the best ways you can develop as a writer is to read more scripts. And I kind of have this suspicion that people maybe don't have access to scripts or aren't reading that many, even though you can find them pretty easily online if you search for them, but you may not know that. So I posted the Barbie script, which is a fantastic script. And kind of every Tuesday, I'm going to be posting more. On Wednesdays, I'm doing Script Doctor Wednesday, which is kind of when I'm on here answering questions. But if you have questions about hey, how do I format this? Or I'm stuck, I have this problem with my characters or a story, you can post it there. And I think Logline Thursday, where you can post your logline. And then maybe something on Friday. Not exactly sure. We're still figuring this out, but I want you to be able to check that out. And then I wanted to also mention the event, just kind of show you the thing while it's here. So Let's Write Books is the new one we're doing Mondays. So that's going to be Mondays at 10 a.m. If you want to RSVP for that, there's a link in the description. And on this first one, we're having a special guest, Charles Yu, who is the National Book Award winning author of Interior Chinatown. He's also a short story writer. He's written another novel. And also Interior Chinatown was adapted into a TV show that's great, that's out right now. So he's going to be joining us on Monday, and I'm going to talk to him about kind of what he thinks about when starting a novel. And kind of the whole point with Let's Write Books is I'm going to be starting to write a novel from scratch. And so it's kind of going through the process. Each week, it's going to be a little more themed, whereas Write With Us, it's a little more, kind of whatever you're working on. But this one, kind of the first episode is going to be about starting your novel. So we'll have some free write prompts that I'll give, but it's also a place, if you have a work in progress, you can just come just to get your word count. Really, you can work on whatever you want. But I'm really excited about that. So that's gonna be Mondays, 10 a.m. Pacific. It's free, open to everyone. So please check that out. Yeah. All right. So let's see how things are going here. AKA Sam wrote a great poem. Fantastic. Susan was digging the music. Spilled Ink was skeleton opening scene down. Awesome. Claire working the opening, but not exactly sure we'll be going with the rest of the action. Yeah, a lot of things to figure it out. Oh yeah, reading scripts is super fascinating. I was surprised at how easy it is to find them. Yeah, so the way I usually find scripts, I mean, there's some websites that have them, but if you just like Google the name of the show or the movie and then the word script PDF, you can find a lot of stuff on there. And a lot of like recent stuff is on online, like Deadline posts a lot of scripts from like the awards contenders. It's called like the Read the Script series or something like that. And so if you want, you can find them there. Yeah. Awesome. Oh, here's a good question. Still going to use Dark Studio and not entirely sure what a parenthetical is used for. That is a great question. So a parenthetical is also known as a Riley, kind of like historically, that's what it was used for. But it's basically a way to here. I'm going to like open up this like demo script here that I can use here. So this is like a fake script that I'll use sometimes here called The Greenest Pasture. So basically, right, you have this element. This is the character. This is the dialogue here. And then in between, you can have something like here. And this is called a parenthetical. So it's about two cows who notice the gates open. And one cow's like, no way, it's never been open before. Panics. Is it okay? Are we okay? So basically, usually what a parenthetical does is a commentary on how the line is delivered. You can also do some movements there. Like you could say like, blah, 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 brushes her hair, runs her, something like that, like a small action. But generally, yeah, it's just sort of, it reflects, like you could say like sarcastically, or ironically, or, blah, blah, blah. Or there can be like a pause. You can say like, then, this happens, then this. So there's a lot of different ways you can use them. Again, this is why reading other scripts is great, because you can kind of see how they're used. The trick with parentheticals is you don't want to use them that much. Like sometimes beginner writers will put a parenthetical like on every line of dialogue, and you don't want to do that. Generally, like the tone and stuff should be clear kind of from the action and the context. But occasionally you can do it here, like, excited, like I put it in there, or like shrugs. You can say like shrugs as they're talking. So it's kind of like how they deliver the line or kind of what they're doing as they deliver the line. So hopefully, Allison, that helps you explain it. Yeah. Beatrice had no idea this was going to work. Thought we were going to have a prompt. Yeah. So this is Write With Us is basically designed for people to make progress on whatever their script is or whatever their project is. So it's kind of hard to give a prompt, because it's like people are doing different things. So like I'm working on a feature, people working on pilots, people are working on their outlines. It's all different kinds of stuff. But for our other show, Let's Write Books, that one's actually going to have some prompts. How do you join the forum? Ooh, good question. On the desk in Arc Studio, on the left-hand side, there's a thing that says community. So if you go to your desk in Arc Studio, and you'll notice on the left-hand side something that says community, and you click that, and that will take you to the forum. All right. That's great here. Tara is asking a question. Is it easier to get funding for a feature if you shoot a proof of concept short for festivals? I'm finding my short is too complex for you short. I wonder if it'd be better just to write the feature. I honestly, I'm not like, I'm better positioned to answer questions about screenwriting, like in terms of production and financing. Like that is not my area of expertise. But it's hard to get financing. I will say that there's not like an easy path, to either way to getting financing. Sometimes you can do a proof of short, a proof of concept short, but it's not necessarily like going to make it easier. It kind of depends on the premise and how good the short is. Because again, if you're using it as a proof of concept, it has to be like the same quality as a feature. So sorry, there's no, I wish in terms of getting things made and financing, I had a better answer for you. But yeah, it's pretty hard. Looking forward to January 20th. Yes, it should be pretty awesome here. Sid stopping by to say hello. Fantastic. All right, guys. So that was the. I think we're gonna like jump in now into the 25-minute writing sprint. I like to think of like the 25-minute writing sprint as like the meat and potatoes, if you eat meat and potatoes, of Write With Us. Music gets a little funkier. We're a little warmed up. Our brains are whirring along, and this is where I tend to get the probably the most progress done in my scripts. So yeah, if you have any other questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We have one more break coming up, and we can talk about that. But this is asking, did you guys make a text editor for novels? Yeah, that's what ButterDocs is. If you like Arc Studio, ButterDocs is very similar, except it's for prose writing. So it's perfect for novels. You can also like academic papers. It's got some really great tools for that. But basically, yeah, Arc Studio is for scripts, and ButterDocs is kind of like the same format, like many of the same capabilities, but it's for writing prose and like particularly longer, complicated writing like novels. It is great for that. So you should check it out. Great. Okay, here we go. The 25-minute writing sprint, and then we'll check back in the next break and chat a little more. Catch you guys all on the other side. Sorry, guys. I had a thought like right as the time expired, and I was trying to get it down. There we go. That was our second writing sprint, the 25-minute writing sprint. Usually my favorite writing sprint because I'm warmed up but not too tired. I'm in the sweet spot, the Goldilocks writing sprint, if you will. How'd that go for you guys? Did the muse show up? Did they abandon you? I'd love to hear how it's going. If you have any more questions about your writing, any screenwriting questions in general, get in the chat. Let me know. Let's see here. I don't know if this is Ren or Renee. I'm gonna say Ren, but I feel like that's wrong. Missed the info for novel writing. What time on Monday? Thanks. So it's going to be Mondays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, but there is a link in the description of the YouTube video below you, and you can see all the info there, and you can RSVP for it. We were talking about parentheticals earlier, and Paula was saying, I think I put way too much description in my screenplay, parentheticals, etc. It's probably because I picture scenes in my head. I mean, picturing scenes in your head is great. I also think like overwriting can be very helpful in early drafts because you're trying to figure out like what it is first, and then you have to figure out how to describe it best to other people, right? So overwriting, I think giving too much description can be helpful in the process of you figuring it out. But then as you revise, I think really my kind of rule of thumb is that you should only put in kind of what is necessary, what they need to know. Like think really, it's just very helpful to think from the reader's perspective. Like, what do they need to know? What do they want to know? They don't want to get bogged down by too much detail. Oftentimes there are things that are fascinating to us as writers that the audience doesn't really care about. So that can be helpful. Tiffany, I need to present 1,000 words of my newly started graphic novel in 30 days. Any top tips on how best to use my time besides just writing? I mean, I think you kind of answered the question there yourself. There really isn't a secret trick to it. I mean, there are productivity tips or tricks, and timed writing sprints are very helpful. In Arc Studio and in ButterDocs, there's a timer where you can do writing sprints, and you can even have like nag notifications. So if you get distracted, there's little pop-ups. It'll be like, get back to work. There's other things you can do, like finding a great time of day that works for you. Like I like writing early in the morning. A lot of people love writing late at night because it's quiet and there aren't distractions. Get rid of your phone. Like just literally leave your phone if you can in another room. Like don't even silence it if you don't have it anywhere near you. But like those kind of things, but really it's just like on you to buckle down and get it done. There's no magic wand when it comes down to it. It's just about you. Barbara, belated hello. Glad you're here. Your brain is melting. There we go. Hopefully this brain with this, well, first off, your brain melting goes well with your name, spelting. I'm just picturing like, just sort of like black ooze, inky ooze coming out of your head, which apologies if that's disgusting to everyone else. And Claire was saying this song kind of sounds like someone's stomach growling, which is a great segue to the sandwich of the week. every week. I love sandwiches, and I feel many of us here in Write With Us love sandwiches, and I love making sandwiches with good bread and quality ingredients and taking photos of them in an artistic way. And so this is the sandwich of the week. This is just, yeah, it's just kind of like a classic, beautiful sandwich. There's nothing like too special about it. We got some nice sourdough bread there. We got avocado. We got tomato. You can kind of see the stone ground mustard in there at the top, the pickled onions, which are like key, the greens. And then like in the background, those are some chamomile flowers, which, it's kind of funny. Like I'll make these sandwiches and I'll just kind of like walk around with the plate in my hand, trying to figure out some way to stage the photo. And we had these flowers on our table. So I took them outside and staged this beautiful photo. Sandwich, wish you were here. So there we go. That is the sandwich of the week. Wish you were here. Glad you liked that. Chamomile, nice touch, ready for spring. Yeah, I thought they were very pretty. Great. So yeah, Barbara, this is where you get hungry. I love it here. I love it. Fantastic. All right. So wait, sorry. I need to like there we go. Hide current comment. There we go. The sandwich of the week. I hope you enjoy it. I saved this to near the end, so it doesn't make you too hungry, but this is just like a nice photo. I like this one. It's like, it's not too showy. It's just like good craftsmanship in that in that photo here. All right, here. Does Arc Studio let you have two characters talking at the same time with their dialogue appearing next to each other on the page? Yes, we do. It is called dual dialogue. And you can do that by, if you click on the little icon, the element icon next to the character name, next to the top of the two characters. So you have like a dialogue here and a dialogue here. The one up here, there's a little icon in the that looks like a person's silhouette in the left side, and you can select make dual, and it'll like pop it so that they're side by side. Or you can Google like Arc Studio dual dialogue, and I think you'll find the help article there. But yeah, there you go. Beatrice actually started working on my script, got 6 characters storyline down. Woohoo! Love it. Love the exclamation points, the energy. Fantastic. Juno saying, mostly been editing today. On the plus side, been really enjoying reading what I've written so far. Always a nice surprise. Fantastic. Glad you're liking it. Paula, 6 pages. For like 6, we had like 6 characters, 6 pages. That's like the lucky number today. We're about 6 pages working on a big action scene that I was nervous about. So it's nice to see it playing out. Fantastic. Great. Cash is writing a scene that explains how plot lines fit together, having a rough time with it. Oh, that is tough, especially if you have multiple plot lines. I mean, I think one thing that can help in there is like finding a way for it to need, right? Like if you can do it, trying to like get my thoughts in order here. If you can make it happen organically, right? So that there's some reason that the plots need to be coming together there. That's the most helpful versus if you're kind of just trying to shove them all into a scene. So sometimes you can almost like work backwards, but like finding a reason why they need to merge is helpful there. Susan revising screenplay for another writing contest. Fantastic. Where's the bread from? It is from this bakery called Out of Thin Air. Yeah, that's very good here. Gabrielle, who joined us late. So glad you're here. Also, I loved your interest here. I missed that, but you were like, where is it? I have arrived. That was great. I love that. Glad you're here. Let's see here. Got my work viewed by subject matter expert this week, and it went really well. Got those good notes you were talking about last week. Fantastic. Yeah, notes are so helpful. I'm actually writing a little blog post for Monday for the Arc Studio blog about notes. So that'll get emailed out to people on Monday, and you can find it on the Arc Studio blog. Ilya, spectacular. Also, the flowers hoping for the fast coming spring. Beautiful. I love it. There we go. Kimberly enjoying getting back into routine after a long break. Oh, I love it. This feels good today, guys. This is a great. I don't know. It's a great route. I mean, it's usually good. I love this on Wednesdays. All right. So again, yeah. So I already talked about Let's Write Books, the new novel writing show that we're doing with Butterdocs, our other app. On Monday. And if you want to RSVP for that, there's the link in the description. Also, we're doing Write With Us, of course, next Wednesday a week from today, same time, 1 p.m. Pacific. You can RSVP for that. There's a link in the description. Try to think if there were other. Yeah, I mentioned the community forum. We're doing more stuff like 5-page Mondays. Tomorrow is going to be Logline Thursday. If you want to post your logline tomorrow and you can get critiques on it. Yeah, just trying to build the community here, build off the spirit of Write With Us, which has been so fantastic, and kind of want to keep it going, keep it growing. But with that, I think that's all the talking that I want to do. Is there anything else in the chat here? See Barbara saying Yamola. That feels worth sharing. I want everyone to enjoy that Yamola from Barbara. And yeah, I think we should probably actually, here's a great question. I got distracted here. Writing a sort of character-focused screenplay like an After Sun, but how do you create conflict in a movie like that? Oh man, that is one of the great challenges in screenwriting. Sorry for smiling as I'm saying how hard it is to do. So I think one thing I will say is that generally, in those kind of stories, there's not a lot of plot conflict, right? It's mostly about story. So it's mostly about character. These are very character-driven things. So you really, need to understand what it is that the character wants and what's stopping them from getting it. And a lot of times it can be internal things, right? And internal things are difficult in a movie because it's not a novel where you can write pages and pages about what's going on inside someone's head. So the trick is to find scenes, to find ways to externalize the internal conflict, which means you need to find ways in scene to show what the conflict is. And there's not an easy way to do it. Honestly, to learn from it is watch After Sun with a notepad. Look at the scenes. How do they do it? Other movies like that. How are they externalizing the conflict? And try to learn from that. Also try to find the screenplays. I bet you could find After Sun. And how do they externalize that internal conflict? Because when done well, it's beautiful, and so moving and can result in fantastic movies, fantastic art. So good luck. But it is, you are right to be wondering about this question because it is a difficult thing to do. And it also is probably things that can also develop in drafts as you figure out what the story is here. What do you think of visual storytelling rather than verbal storytelling? Well, film and TV are visual mediums, so it's all visual storytelling. Oftentimes I feel people talk about writers and just kind of think of them as dialogue writers, when they think of a movie, they think of the writer made the dialogue and then that's kind of it. But that's not necessarily true. It is the story that you're trying to get across. And there are a lot of fantastic sequences in movies, some of the most memorable. We always talk about the beginning of the movie Up, right? How that is just silent, and it's so powerful. So there are different styles of storytelling, right? An Aaron Sorkin script that's very dialogue heavy and fast paced is going to be very different from other kinds of scripts, like a Terrence Malick script or something like that. So they're kind of basically you all have different, it's you're painting and you have your palette and there's different things. And it sort of depends on what kind of painting you're making, right? Which one do you use for it? Because dialogues can do certain things. There are movies that are very dialogue heavy, also a Tarantino movie, right? Is the dialogue is a huge part of how it moves and the tone, right? And the feel of it all, the characterization. And then there's look at two westerns Django Unchained versus The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, which is no dialogue, right? Those are both Western shootout movies, right? But they're done in very different styles and they can both be good movies. But they're just different kinds of movies. So it really just kind of depends on what is this kind of story that you're trying to tell. Paulo's saying That's a good question. I've been struggling with that lots too. I've been using phone call scenes as one way. I would definitely need to explore the other options so it doesn't get too repetitive. Yeah, I mean, this phone call thing can be a bit of a trap. I think that's a common thing that writers do, because like phone calls aren't that dramatic often, because you just kind of like have one person there or both people kind of like not doing much. That said, I just wrote a phone call scene, so like there's they still have a place in your storytelling. But if you feel if you feel that you're using it kind of as a crutch, then you probably are, and you can think about like different ways to kind of like tell that story to dramatize the story. All right, hey, loving the people who are showing up at the end, fantastic. Just in time for the last writing sprint, which, man, we talked a lot today, so we're going to run over. So we're just going to do a 20-minute sprint here. And if you have to leave, no worries. Oh man, there's so many questions, Adonis. Maybe Adonis asked that on the forum, because that's a big one. I want to get into this last sprint, and that's a big question about theme, which I don't think I can answer quickly. But yeah, we're gonna do this last sprint here. I'm gonna put 20 minutes up, and if you have to leave before then, no worries. Thank you for coming. I hope to see you next week, either at Let's Write Books on Monday, or Write with us on next Wednesday, or at both. And before you go, if you have to leave, drop in the chat, let me know how it went, what you got done today. And I hope to see you all next week. But 20 minutes on the clock, and let's finish strong. Let's like give our writing our last kind of focused ounces of attention. Here we go. All right, everybody, that brings us to the end of the last writing sprint and the final writing sprint of what is today? The January 15th. Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day, by the way. This is actual birthday. I think it's observed on Monday, but today is the actual birthday. And yesterday was my birthday. So lots of birthdays this week. Anyways, I'll just throw that in there at the end. Thank you all so much for joining. I hope you got some great writing done today. I hope you had fun, maybe learned some stuff. I had a fantastic time. Look forward to this every week, and I hope to see you all next week, either on Wednesday for Write With Us or on Monday for Let's Write Books, or for both. And I love that discussion about theme that was just getting going. I would love if you guys took that to the community forum. I feel like people would have some great opinions on that, so feel free to post it there. And yeah, that's it. I'm going to sign off. We've been here for a long time. Enjoy the rest of the week. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to yourselves. And happy writing, everybody. I'll see y'all soon.